For decades, WRBN ruled the airwaves of Warner Robins. On this episode of Middle Georgia Buzz, we travel back in time with the actual footage of WRBN. Now, with their own foggy memories, it's John and Chris.
Well, hi, Wayne.
Hey.
Hey, good day to everybody. Welcome to the Buzz. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good in the hood. It's good to be here in Studio G on Gilchrist Drive in Warner Robins. And today we're talking about the greatest radio station ever in Warner Robins. Maybe the world.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, WRBN. That was where you, I guess, got your radio chops.
WRBN. Yeah, I got my start there sniffing toner cartridges.
That's where it all started.
I was an intern there.
Yeah, it was more fun than taking a fat girl to a Nickelback concert, wasn't it?
Now, the story is, for me, one day you showed up at my house down the street and said, hey, follow me.
Right.
So I'm like 14, I hop on my bike, we bike way out down Alberta Road to the studio at 707 Alberta Road, and we go inside, and there's this weekend disc jockey, this redhead guy, and he's sitting there looking at Playboys.
Yeah, he's checking out the nasty, just doing his thing. Hey, what the hell are you kids doing in here?
So you walk in, you're like, hey. He's like, hey. And we go in the production room and goofing off. So I got to know, first of all, did you know this guy?
This is how I remember it, and I'm not sure that this is the case, but it seems to me that, whenever, we were kids listening to the radio, we were always camped out in front of it, checking things out. I think that I called in and won some bullshit of some sort, and went over there and picked it up. And, of course, I looked around and they were, look, buttons and stuff that flashes. I think I need to get involved in this. So that's how it happened. I, started goofing around over there and, used to just show up and, they just kind of got used to, I think, both of us being there at some point. I don't know how that exactly went down.
Well, we were there goofing off. He was doing his thing with his magazine, and
I don't want to know what that was.
And Scott Tyler and Orrin Michael showed up, and instead of kicking us out like any other kind of business would do, they said, "Hey, hang out, let us record some albums." And they were really very nice about it and let us come back.
Yeah, that's right. We were bootlegging their stuff. Taping it, and eventually it got to be, hey, press this button, and I think that's where it all started. So your illustrious radio career began right there.
Yeah, we were reading, they gave us some copy to read, like a commercial for Olympia Skate Center, just to practice on. I still have that on reel to reel. I still have the Jimi Hendrix album I ripped my first day there.
And we went bumping into some fun, I think, after that. I don't know. But yeah, there were some days when, like on the weekends when they would play rock concert and
Dr. Demento.
Doctor, that was Sunday's fair was Dr. Demento. I think started like 8 o'clock or something like that, and ran until midnight. And then if you remember, at 12 o'clock there was the sign off.
Oh yeah, they signed off.
Yeah,
at midnight with "Happy Trails" by Van Halen.
Happy Trails. WRBN AM and FM now sign off the air.
We now conclude another broadcast day. We operate on a kilowatt frequency of 101.7 megahertz or kilojoules, or we operate on high grade cocaine.
1.21 gigawatts.
So I'm on that Facebook group, Warner Robins Good Old Days 70s Beyond, and I was showing some pictures of the station today, the building today, and Brian Kelly, Ed Mullis chimes in and goes, I'm glad those walls can't talk. And I thought to myself, if those walls could talk, they would say just one word.
Yeah, cocaine.
That would be the word. Cocaine.
Yeah, we don't know what went on necessarily.
I tell you what was going on. We found a group of guys with enough rock and roll fortitude to snort coke off gold records and a hooker's ass.
I wonder whose gold record that was. Like, is it John Fogerty? I forget. There was one hanging on the wall. It was that obligatory fake gold record. You know what I'm talking about.
With all the razor marks scratched on it. I may be romanticizing just a little bit, but there is an actual legend, WRBN folklore, that talks of a woman DJ, female DJ, that could party with any of the boys, any of the rock stars, who snorted a line of cocaine so long off the toilet seat bowl, off the rim, that it actually encompassed the entire rim. in a heroic effort of cocaine ingestion. So that may be true.
So that's what that Yes song Roundabout is.
Yeah.
So she snorted the dry dock and lived to tell about it. Brought to you by Rain Irrigation and Landscapes. Saving water, conserving the future. Call us for your irrigation needs. Let us build you something that's truly beautiful. So call us at 478-973-4160. We'll build you something you can truly enjoy.
Okay, stand by.
Now back to John and Chris and what I learned on Gilchrist Drive.
In your adventures, in your illustrious career as a full-fledged radio man, and there are very few of them these days, they're getting slimmer by the day. Are there any serious benchmarks other than WRBN that you remember as being, man, that's the pinnacle of my career to date?
I mean, there's been some moments like when I was in New Orleans, I introduced Sarah Evans on stage in front of 40,000 people at the Superdome.
That's cool.
That was pretty neat. Meeting Slipknot in Knoxville was pretty cool. But I tell you what, that 1988, 1999 at WRBN, that was probably my finest hour.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, a 15-year-old kid, I'm afraid to kind of tell some of these rock star stories because the people in my life now would be so shameful and disgusted. and who wants to hear about the rock and roll and sexual and drug conquest of a 15-year-old boy given a 3,000-watt station and said, hey, go party down, go have a good time.
But that was what
it was
much
all
better
about.
Than that. You were Dr. Johnny Fever at 15.
This one girl I had met at Crystal Lake. I'd gone on a road trip with Bobby Lamb and his family, and this one girl, met her there, and she actually lived in Warner Robins. She rode her. I'm 15. She's 15. She rode her bicycle up to the studio in the middle of the night for a little School of Rock.
School of Rock.
I mean,
that's one of the pieces of swag that I got from the station, and I think I still have that book. It's called Rock School, and it gives you a little synopsis of the history of rock in brief, and it shows you how to play guitar like Jimmy Page and bullshit like that. And I think I still have that, and some Robin Trower albums. I don't know.
I remember winning a Robin Trower album. Yeah, I took it home, and it's like it's all instrumental.
That's Robin Trower. And let's see, some AC/DC stuff, and then songs from the Big Chair. I think from Tears for Fears. That was a stretch, though. It showed up. It was cool.
The kind of guys that work there, like when Orrin Michael and Scott Tyler showed up and let us mess around. That is something that was probably instilled in that radio station for a generation of disc jockeys before us. And this is a true story. There was, maybe it was Todd Allen. I can't remember the disc jockey's name, but he went out and cut the wires to the transmitter. That transmitter was right next to Northside Junior. That's their old transmitter. He cut the wires, knocking the station, the transmitter down, knocking them off the air, committing a major federal crime. And what did the station do with this delinquent? They gave him a job.
Man, so that was like, the whole notion of Radio Free Europe.
And today's knee-jerk society, dealing with something like that, the kid probably wouldn't have been given a job, when given that kind of opportunity. He would have been punished.
Might still be in jail.
Yeah, so I think those guys knew how to handle maybe a stray teenager who just needed some direction and a place to focus their energy, because they themselves had gone through something and had a group of guys, some older dudes, that kind of showed them a better way, a more fun way. If cocaine and strippers are your thing, we never got arrested. I exaggerate on the cocaine and strippers. I really do.
Yeah, but everything stayed in the building.
It's like today's society, there aren't enough big brothers.
Yeah.
The family nucleus is small. There's not enough big brothers.
Yeah, and you're right about that. That was a situation where you could kind of go in there. You know, if it was relatively wholesome because, you know, they were always like, oh, kid, you got to get out of here now. Somebody's coming by. but, you know.
My dealer's coming over. You got to scram.
There was a little learning involved there. And, you know, it was a sort of coming of age. And, you know, I took a liking to it immediately. And obviously you did because it spawned a career that's, you know, we're now into 3 decades. So obviously something happened. Something clicked. Something went right. And, you know, it's produced some results.
Yeah, I always wonder what happened if you guys showed up at my door that day and said, "Follow me."
You might be wealthy.
Down this rabbit hole. I'd have a house. I'd have a stable career. I'd have a job.
Don't go blaming me for this shit, you medium major.
I made my choices. That was all me.
Well, I will say, though, for what it's worth, I still see the glamour and the prestige of what used to be radio. I mean, it was important. You were an important face in the community. Just like you got your man on local TV was always a big deal to everybody. Now it's watered down and it's not such a big deal. So do you think going forward in the future we'll see sort of a recourse back to this? Because
the pendulum is swinging in the industry. It'll never go back to the way it was, but I think what has happened with some of the big companies that had to make a lot of cuts, we're starting to see them realizing and putting forth some effort, saying we have to put on quality product now. We can't be a jukebox anymore with Pandora and internet radio and all these other platforms. To stay relevant, radio has to... Let me put it this way. People love a brand, not a medium. So the radio, to prevent becoming a dinosaur, has to resonate with people and find a way to be a factor that they'll follow them from FM to internet to wherever they go. That's the only way radio's going to survive and things can go back a little bit to the way they were.
Well, there's a certain romanticism there, to have somebody on the other end of that line where... Yeah,
the night fly.
Yeah, you can relate. The night fly. The booger coming at you loud and clear. There was a romanticism where you knew there was somebody on the other end of the line, and we used to call and bother those people in the mornings and in the afternoons, and that's how I came away with all that junk that I'll never listen to again. But even so, there had to be some enjoyment on some level for everybody, and it's just not there anymore. You sit and listen to the same garbage over and over again and listen to everybody that's piped in, and the vast majority of what you hear, even if it's relatively entertaining, they're halfway across the country and it's not relevant anymore. It's not.
Yeah, it's watered down, as you said. But we're changing all that.
No, we're going to get nasty
Wilson,
as
Chris,
hell.
and Middle Georgia Buzz, assaulting Middle Georgia with fierce localism. Speaking of Middle Georgia and fierce localism, the people that do that really well, Mindy and the staff over at Gateway Macon. And
Definitely.
we had the pleasure of meeting Mindy, and she was real excited about what we're doing. And they brought us on as guest gatekeepers at gatewaymacon.org. So look for articles, podcasts, some of our multimedia stuff to appear in gatewaymacon.org. Real excited.
I am too. General news from us, and God behoove somebody to giving us a key to anything.
She's made a big mistake.
Standing tough under stars and stripes, we can tell this dream's in sight. You've got to admit it.
I turn to stone. When you are gone, I turn to stone.
Met my old lover in the grocery store.
The low rider is a little higher.
As always, the Morning Buzz and all of its contents are proudly brought to you by Rain Irrigation, saving water, conserving the future. Call us at 973-4160 for all of your irrigation needs.
Come on, we're getting together, making it happen. WRBN, Warner Robins. And the beat goes on.
90 minutes from New York to Paris. Well, by 76 we'll be A-OK.
What a beautiful world this will be.
Wilson and Chris, 101.7 WRBN, Rock 102, Warner Robins. Chris, you're going to be listening to the King Biscuit Flower Hour tonight.
I like the King Biscuit Flower Hour. I mean, anytime King's got a biscuit, I always check it out.
Yeah, we're going to be